Hey, what's up, AJT fam? Welcome back. This is chapter 3 of the Trader Mindset. We're going to start talking about the destructive emotions. These things that we tend to these emotions that tend to derail us when we're in the middle of our trading. So first, find your trading self. This is a review from the last time we met. One of the things that I realized while working with the hundreds of traders that I've worked with is they all have one thing in common. They've never made it out of survival mode. Okay, survival mode is what most of you are in 2023. You're just trying to survive. And some of you have been in survival mode 5 or 10 years trying to get into this trading. So my goal is to get you out of that. But believe it or not, this is the mode that most of us live in throughout our lives. We just survive. And we're happy as long as we're surviving, we're happy. Okay, it is usually established early on to help us deal with the negative feelings, challenges, and disappointments we start facing as we begin growing up. Okay, it's our way of making it in this world. Even today, when I was teaching, most of the time dealing with the administration and all of the other stuff that surrounded teaching, all of the politics of teaching, I was in survival mode. When it came to teaching my students, I was thriving. But I was just surviving dealing with the administration and the politics of the school district and all of that. But we established it early on. And a lot of us are doing it in different facets of our lives right now. Believe it or not. If you think about it, it'll hit you. But what we have to do is replace survival with resilience. We don't want to just be survivors. We want to have and develop resilience. So resilience isn't survival. Yes, you need survival to navigate the crisis. The survival instinct will help with that. It's about rebuilding when exhausted and then being able to bounce. Not just bounce back, but bounce higher and thrive. That's where the resilience comes in. If we're surviving, we're just trying to get back to where we were, or just kind of survive in the moment. Okay? And we don't want to do that. So resilient people are flexible, adapt to new circumstances quickly, and thrive in constant change. Isn't that what we need to be as a trader? We have to be flexible. We have to be able to adapt to price action quickly. And we have to thrive in a constantly changing environment. The market is constantly changing. But most importantly, we would expect to bounce back and to feel confident that we will. And resilient people have a knack for creating good luck out of circumstances that many others see as bad luck. All right, and this was your homework. you had to do, you wanted to take a personal inventory of the discipline qualities that you need to work on and what your strengths are. Ideally, do that based on trading experience, since trading tends to expose those vulnerabilities. And it required looking at your discipline, patience, adaptability, mental toughness, independence, and forward thinking. And you needed to be 100% honest. This is the list. When you start mentoring, whether with me or anybody, when you start, this is the list that you've got to have. Okay, you've got to have this list. Because if not, nobody knows what the hell to work on, right? So if you didn't do it, make sure you do it. If we're going to meet for a session, if we're going to start working and you're ready to recommit, we need to have this list. We've got to have this list. You've got to self-assess. All right, so what? This is a question. And it's not rhetorical. This is a legit question. What is the most destructive emotion that you feel while trading? What's your most destructive emotion? If you did the homework, you know it right out the top of your head. But if not, think about it. What's the most destructive emotion you feel while trading? We got a couple of fears. We've got a couple of fears. We've got hope, doubt, greed, panic, yeah, but the overall consensus, is fear. So in trading, almost every emotion can have a positive or negative impact. Even fear being our most destructive emotion that you may feel, fear can actually have a positive impact because it can keep you, the little bit of fear we need can keep us from making really stupid decisions. So it just depends on how we use it. Negative emotions that end up controlling a trader's mind are disastrous. But negative emotions that are used to strengthen the mind and become a better trader are productive. Okay, positive emotions can motivate and energize a trader, but when they become too large, a part of the brain's too big of your brain's feelings, they can really hurt performance. Meaning you focus on one feeling more so than any others, and it can become a big part of why you're not being successful. Alright, so traders need to work very hard to balance out all of their emotions in order to become successful, well-rounded trader. And that's what the trader mindset is all about. Is learning how to balance out your emotions. So here's a question. These are some questions for you. Do you feel anxious and stressed out when you trade? Are you concentrating more but still losing on your trades? I mean, you're really focusing, you're locked in and you're focused, but you're still losing on your trades. Now, do you feel tight and wound up at the end of a trading day? Does the market feel like a hostile place for you? Are you failing to execute trades when they set up for you? Are you constantly moving from strategy to strategy, trying to find that holy grail setup? And if you're checking any of these off, we definitely need to talk. So in day trading, it's apparent. Your emotions are your worst enemy. Here I'm saying your emotions can be your worst enemy, but your emotions are your worst enemy, period. No questions asked. No questions asked. Okay, addressing your feelings and emotions should be the primary focus of day traders. Meaning, when you're starting to lose it. Yesterday, when I first started trading, I knew right off the bat I was angry. I had an attitude. And it didn't make any sense. But I knew I had an attitude, and I know it stemmed from the flight. Being delayed and, being on a plane 2 hours longer than I wanted to be, not getting into Colombia until 2 o'clock in the morning, not getting home until 3, not really getting into bed till after 4, and then having to get right back up. I felt that. So by doing the homework from the last one and kind of identifying all of this stuff, it helps put you on a path of identifying these things, identifying your feelings. Because again, when your feelings or emotions are affecting you in a trade. I mean, you know that. And the emotions that you feel, that's those little voices that you hear in your head. All when you were growing up, those voices that fought between good and evil. Go ahead and try it. It's okay. Don't do it. It's dangerous. You might get hurt. Those voices. And that voice, that's a part of what happens with you when you freak out about something. That's what it is. It's all part of how you react. But the reality is, uncertainty in day trading, it's a given. So what can we do about it? We can't wait until we freak out and then try to figure it out. We need to work on it ahead of time. We've got to be proactive with this thing. Okay? We got to be proactive. We got to have a strong defense against those survival instincts that will cause us to not trade like we need to in order to be successful. So the problems have to be dealt with proactively. And again, we've got to construct a strong defense against our survival instincts. Because our survival instincts are going to continue to try to protect us and keep us safe. In trading, there's no safe place. Okay, there's no safe place. So stop thinking about it. Just get to work. Okay, we've got to learn to contain and manage them. We can't trade without emotions. Okay, trading without emotions doesn't work. So our goal is that we become self-aware, so that as soon as we feel the emotions and that we feel like they're about to take over, we can respond so that we don't have a negative outcome. So if we're getting ready to trade and we start to feel funny, we start to get that scary feeling, that fear, and we need to be able to come up with something to stop us from being scared, to help, whether it's a saying, whether it's something in writing that we have that we could use to help us deal with that fear. But in the beginning, it is difficult. But as you practice, the faster you're going to recognize that when you're becoming emotional, and you can avoid it early on. Like in the beginning, when you start to feel it, you got to walk away. Okay, that's when you need to walk away. But when you start learning how to develop and when you start to feel that fear or whatever that emotion is that you don't like, you can walk away from that. Or you have a plan to deal with it. Alright, there's no excuse for not understanding and not learning how emotions affect our trading. There's no excuse not to take time and learn this. So there are three most powerful and destructive emotions in trading. Okay, we've got fear, hope, and greed. And here are the feelings that are a direct result of these emotions: anger, depression, desperation, anxious, revengeful, shame, and guilt. All of these we will feel. But there are more emotions. But they come from these three core. The feelings will come from these three core emotions: fear, greed, and hope. So today we're going to kind of quickly talk about fear. Our minds are hardwired with fear. This is the vital, indispensable reflex that keeps us alive and strong. If you've ever been in the military or under combat, there's a certain fear when you realize you're being shot at. That it's not a game. We're not playing. We're not playing soldier in training. We're actually getting shot at. And if the bullet hits us, we're gonna die. There's that fear that creeps up. But hopefully, in basic training and in AIT or any of the advanced trainings that we've done, hopefully when we get put in a situation, a stressful situation, then we'll react. We'll still have that fear to keep us from doing something stupid, but the training that we had, all of that reinforcing, should kick in without us thinking about it. That's why they put you under all of that stress and everything in basic training. Because they're trying to teach you that, hey, when you get put in a situation, you're going to feel fear. But how are you going to deal with that fear? How are you going to respond to it? And you've got to have that right response. If not, it's not, nice to say, and it's not a nice thought. But those people that could not handle this or deal with this didn't make it back home alive. And fear is very, very important. It serves us well when we're running from ferocious animals or engaging in combat, like I was talking about. But when fear overpowers us and we become detached from reality, and we start acting and erratic, the mechanism that's meant to secure our survival actually turns into the cause of our downfall. All right, so think about it, and I've seen this happen, where you start engaging, and all of a sudden you get scared. You either freeze or you start running. In both of those instances, you're gonna get taken out. I mean, it's just that simple. And it's terrible. In trading, when we feel fear, we lose our calm. We may not enter a trade, we may freeze, we may not enter a trade, or we may jump in a trade and we end up losing money because the fear that we feel will not allow us to hold the trades. So, new traders get beat up the most by fear. Their lack of experience creates uncertainty, and that uncertainty creates recklessness, which causes inconsistency and big losses. Okay? There's no denying that. When you're inexperienced, fear can creep in because you're doing something and you're scared because you're scared not knowing that you don't know what you're doing. And yeah, you probably don't. And that fear is warranted. So that's where lack of experience comes in. And that's what help causes you. So the result's going to be somebody that's kind of completely banged up and they don't have the nerve to trade. You're completely scared and discouraged. You want to quit. You want to give up. So fear can happen to a trader in two ways. First, fear can take over just before you enter a trade. Second, you will look at your charts and see a perfect setup, and just when it's time to get in, you freeze. So again, you're either going to freeze or you're going to get in it and fear and run away. I mean, bail out of the trade. So you're going to do one or two things. You start questioning your strategy. You start thinking that trade is too risky. You start thinking that, hey, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to lose any money. By the time you get over this, if you get over that feeling, it's too late. You're done. The second scenario happens when you're already into the trade. All right, and then fear creeps over. That means you've already engaged and you're getting fire back at you and you don't know how to handle it. And your fear causes you to bail out of the trade. Whether you're making a little bit of money or you're losing a little bit of money, you just bail out and you don't, and you get messed up with it. The volatility of the stock can cause fear. Oh gosh, my brain just went crazy. I was talking to somebody this morning. Easy E. Was talking this morning, and I was looking at his trade, and to me it looked like he got out early. But he explained, he got in too late, so that kind of messed up his risk. But just looking at that chart, that's what it looks like if you're scared. That's exactly what it looks like. You get in the trade, things start to happen, the trade goes against you, you get scared, and you take it off. That's fear. You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to lose money or any of that. So how can you overcome that? Number one, you got to identify your personal fears and educate yourself on how they work to hurt your trading. I'm educating you on how they work to hurt your trading. You got that part taken care of. But what you have to do as an individual is assess yourself. Assess yourself. And you have to be 100% honest. Okay, you want to learn one setup at a time. And you don't want to move into another until you're proficient with the first strategy. I don't care if you have so much idle time that it doesn't matter. Okay, you have to be willing to stick it out. You've got to be willing to stick it out. You got to take your time, learn that one setting, learn it forward, backwards, and do whatever, and then you move on to the next one. Because you want to make sure that you're completely confident in your ability to execute that strategy. You want to practice trading that strategy as much as you can, because let me tell you, the best antidote for fear is confidence. Stop it. Is confidence. That's the best antidote for it. So practicing, building as much as you can into your trading, much confidence into your strategy and your ability to execute. That's what you want to do. That's where the market simulator comes into play. That's where you trading in the sim helps. So using the simulator to start out to gain confidence in your ability to execute a trade plan. I was dumb. I didn't do it. It wasn't a big thing back then. So, but now, if I was starting now, I would definitely use the tools that we have out there. So write out your rules of engagement and refer to it and keep them with you throughout the trading day. If you have rules of engagement, then that should keep you focused on what you're supposed to do or what you should be doing. So if you start to lose track, you start to lose focus, you start looking at those rules of engagement, and it's going to help you. And I'm going to tell you, I've worked with a bunch of traders. I've given everybody all of this stuff, and they refuse to do this, and yet wonder why they're not making any any progress. Okay, it's very important that you do this. You just can't come in and say, well, I'm just going to follow your trades. I'm just going to follow this. You got to have your own thing. Stop! I'm sorry, guys. He's really getting ridiculous now. Sorry about that. So, this is something that you really, really need to do. You can't skip on that. Also, hide your P&L. You don't need to know what your P&L is on every trade. You want to trade off the chart. Trade off the chart. Easiest thing to do, trade off the chart. Stop. And don't start out trading alone. Okay? Don't start out trading alone. You want somebody to help you through the hard times, or else it's really going to weigh on you. It will beat you down and it will weigh on you. You want to have somebody with you helping you through the hard times. So remember, no one is perfect. You will make mistakes. I make mistakes. But if you stay confident, disciplined, and trade within yourself, you will make it. Okay, that's why we're doing this. That's why the trader mindset is so important. Having the right mindset, because we're not perfect. We are going to make mistakes. The market's going to do crazy things. And if we're not able to maintain control of ourselves and our emotions and act using some common sense, we're not going to make it. So we have to stay confident in our abilities. We have to be disciplined in our actions and just trade within ourselves. Just because somebody trades with 500 shares, if you're not able to handle the risk yet, if your account is not at the point where you can trade 500 shares comfortably, then don't do it. You trade within yourself. If 100 shares make sense for your account, then you trade it. And if you slowly grow your account, eventually you can get there. If you're saving money, you can save money, put it in your account, help it grow faster, so you can take larger share size and you can make more money. But you have to trade within yourself. Do all of these things and you're gonna be fine. But you have, number one, you have to trust it. And if you don't trust in it, if you don't trust in what I'm telling you, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Or comments? What you want to focus on this week is trying to identify, what triggers your fear. Are you fearful before you even click enter? Before you enter the trade? Do you feel fear once you're in the trade? What are you fearing? You got to take notes on what you're feeling, what you're working through. Because these are the things that's preventing you from making money in the market. These are the things that made your 2023 broke for you. Is there a general batting average one should work to? Nope. There's if you have a strategy that works and you're executing it the way you're supposed to every time, which means you have an edge, then it doesn't really matter what your batting average is. You're gonna make money. You're gonna win on more trades than you lose. So we're not trying to reach a certain average. What we're trying to do is execute perfectly on every trade. Does that make sense? Because even I know people that have 70, 80%. 70, 75% win rate, but they're not making any money. And that's what they're doing, that because they want to have a high win rate. They're risking 10 cents to make 25 or 30 cents. I made 2 to 1, 2 R's, 3 R's, whatever. Doesn't make sense. You're not making anything. Now, if you're doing that right, you prove that you can execute. Now, let's extend this out. And let's start focusing on actually trading. Trading the chart. Well, the P&L is always in my head. Whether you're above or below your entry. You know that. That's gonna be stuck in your head. But if you're not looking at it, if the numbers are not burning into your brain, then you should be able to focus just on the chart. Focus just on the chart. And letting it tell you when to get in, when to get out. I know if I'm in 300 shares, I know, and I say ahead of time, I'm only going to give it $2. And I know how much I'm risking. I'm risking $600. Okay, I'm risking $600. So why do I need to sit there and watch the P&L? I already know what I'm risking. So who cares what it says in between where we are now and my max risk? I know where my profit target's going to be. And if I get to the profit target, I know how much money I'll probably make. So why do I want to sit here and look at the P&L when it hits my target? I already know what it is. You don't need that. You don't need that distraction. Because what that does is it brings in the fear of losing money and the fear of being wrong, and that's very, very destructive. All right, makes sense. All right. All right. Any more questions or concerns?